Hello and welcome back to our program series, ADRA in Action. Today I am visiting in the home of Susan Ado. Susan is a widow doing her best to support 2 children and 2 grandchildren in a drought-stricken county of Kenya. For 1 year, Susan has received emergency support from ADRA. Once each month, Susan would receive a cash transfer from the ADRA office here in Kenya, direct to her phone. She could then take her phone to the market and purchase food for herself and her grandchildren, using her phone much like we might use Apple Pay in Canada. However, funds for these kinds of emergency relief projects are not without limits, and the appeals that we get at our office for assistance to meet the demands of the current global hunger crisis are staggering. The cash transfer project in Susan's village ended about 5 months ago, and she has returned to making these brooms to try and make a little money to feed her grandchildren and children. When I asked her how much she is able to make from her broom making, she says that she makes about 250 brooms a month, for which she receives around 1,000 Kenya shillings. That might sound like a pretty good income, 1,000 shillings. But when we do the currency conversion, we discover that that works out to about 11 Canadian dollars per month. When I asked her how much she would need to make each month to provide proper food for her children and grandchildren, she said she would really need about $110 per month to truly provide for her family. Even though she is working as hard as she can, she's only making about 1/10 of what she really needs, just to provide food for her precious grandkids. Not to mention all of the other expenses of daily life for active children attending school. With the rise in global hunger due to COVID, the Ukraine war, and increasing climate shocks, ADRA is not able to sustain long-term financial assistance that can indefinitely provide for widows and orphans like Susan and her grandchildren. And yet, we cannot simply walk away and let these precious souls try to survive the best they can. They are more than just sad statistics living in a faraway land. They are real people that we have come to know and admire for their integrity, hard work, and resilience. And so, whenever we can, ADRA's emergency response programs are followed up with creative ways to help people develop a sustainable system to provide income for themselves, even during difficult times. During the time when Susan was receiving her cash transfers from ADRA, she was invited to join a savings and loans group. This was totally new for her. Like almost 2 billion people, Susan had never had a bank account. Getting a loan from a bank was not possible as she had nothing to provide as capital. Now, through her group, she was not only saving, but had the new ability to get a short-term loan to start a small business. She decided to buy and sell charcoal. She buys a large bag and breaks it down into smaller quantities and sells the small bundles for a profit. A couple of weeks ago, she decided to start a chicken farm, another business. Taking training from ADRA on how to care for poultry, she has started with 4 hens. She expects that they will soon be laying eggs. She plans to grow her new business into a thriving industry, providing not only nutritious food for her family, but selling eggs and chickens to the market. There's a well-known proverb that says, "Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime." It may be a bit of a cliche, but it does express a valuable truth. Empowering people to care for themselves is better than simply feeding them. One concern that people have about NGOs and other charitable organizations is that giving people food, money, or other resources and support will simply create expectations and dependency, disrupting local economies and ways of life. These concerns are understandable. I have them myself, and they are factors that we at ADRA have to keep in mind wherever we work. Thankfully, our programming takes a broad perspective and centers on sustainable development goals. We are not interested in doing drive-by charity. Instead, all ADRA programming seeks to develop and maintain opportunities for individuals, families, and communities to support themselves. Our work in Venezuela has involved not only supplying people with food, but also empowering people to become entrepreneurs and business owners. One woman, Neluz, took some of the packaging that came from ADRA's food care packages and modified it into improvised cooking utensils and tools. As a result, her work as a baker has continued to grow. Not only did she have new tools to use in the kitchen, but the food provided for her and her family meant she could save on overhead costs for her business. Ultimately, she was able to buy medicine and school supplies for her children that were formerly out of reach. The most important thing in stories like hers is that she is the one who is lifting herself and her family out of poverty. It is not a self-styled Western savior who makes the most difference, but rather Neluz herself. It was her own sense of innovation and a few simple gifts that gave her the chance to get ahead. This model applies across all of ADRA's work. In countries where we have implemented home gardening in homes and kitchens, some families are growing enough surplus food to begin taking their goods to the marketplace and earn some income. Similar results come about when ADRA's donors provide families with live fish or a young goat. The animal products provided become an economic opportunity for the family. Opportunity also comes in the form of training and education. One of the surest ways to break the cycle of poverty and bring about better prospects is to make sure children have access to education. And for adults, ADRA provides vocational training programs, giving people tangible, practical life skills that can support them and provide work opportunities. In Niger, women have the opportunity to be trained as seamstresses. Our work in Sudan empowers women with training in water pump operation and maintenance. These skills not only provide empowerment to the individuals and access to resources for the community, but they also allow for new economic possibilities. The savings and loans groups, like the one that Susan joined, is an excellent way for people to learn how to save and manage their new incomes. Savings and loans groups help store money for emergency situations or provide cash for a business venture that is just about to get started. By pooling together financial resources, a community can end up having something that functions like a miniature bank in their own community, one that they all are part of and benefit from. At ADRA Canada, we love to help people, but our ultimate goal is to one day be able to leave a community like Susan's altogether, knowing that they have gained the skills and ability to successfully provide for themselves and each other. We want to uphold that dignity of self-determination for our project participants, leaving them to live a life in good health, strength, and the way God intended. Thank you for watching, and I invite you back next time when we will explore how ADRA does everything that we can to include good stewardship for our planet in all our program designs. We'll see you then.